You think freedom means doing what you want, sleeping in, saying no, skipping the hard conversations, choosing ease, autonomy wrapped in comfort. But what if that's not freedom at all? What if that's just ego comfort, disguised as choice? Real freedom isn't found in the avoidance of discomfort. It's found in the moments you move through resistance. When you do the thing your emotions resist, because your soul already knows it's necessary. Freedom is brushing your teeth when your body says no. It's showing up when no one claps. It's telling the truth when it trembles your voice. It's staying with a promise long after the spark fades. Every time you override your short-term preference, you're building something rare, something almost extinct in modern culture: inner authority. You're not free when you only act from feeling. You're free when it no longer matters if you feel like it or not. That's when your life stops being ruled by comfort and starts being led by commitment. I'm Ms. Time Distorter, and this is the truth your comfort zone doesn't want you to hear. You were taught to follow your feelings, to trust your emotional truth, to use your internal compass as your guide. And while there's power in emotional awareness, there's also danger, because your feelings aren't always wisdom. They're patterns, they're data, but they're not direction. Your emotional responses were shaped by repetition, by memory, by survival. So when you avoid something because you don't feel like it, you might not be protecting your peace. You might be obeying your oldest limitation. The body resists what once hurt. The mind avoids what once failed. And slowly, the nervous system learns to shrink away from growth, labeling it as danger. What you call authenticity might be clever avoidance. What you call intuition might be unhealed habit. Real freedom comes not when you obey every emotion, but when you can hold it, question it, and still choose what serves you long term. Because maturity isn't the absence of emotion, it's the ability to feel and still lead. And emotional freedom isn't doing what you feel. It's not being ruled by it. What happens in the brain when you do the hard thing? There's a reason doing the hard thing changes you. It's not just psychological, it's biological. When you act in resistance, when you move forward despite discomfort, your brain activates the anterior cingulate cortex. This is the region responsible for conflict monitoring, error, detection, and long-term strategy. In simple terms, you're rewiring your brain for resilience. Most people think discipline is about grit, but it's about design. Each time you push through the moment your body says no, you're training your system to hold tension, to withstand friction, to lead through chaos. You're not just building willpower, you're upgrading your internal hardware. This is how emotional maturity is built, not in inspiration but in repetition, in brushing your teeth when your body wants to stay in bed, in making the call, in sitting with discomfort instead of scrolling past it. You don't rise by waiting to feel ready. You rise by proving to your brain again and again that resistance is not a red light. It's a green one. If you know how to move through it, your freedom lives on the other side of that activation. Not because it gets easier, but because you get stronger. Why doing what you want is a trap. We idolize desire. We equate it with authenticity, with alignment, with freedom. But doing what you want is only sacred if you've built the capacity to choose what's right over what's easy. Because without structure, desire becomes chaos. And without discernment, want becomes addiction, to comfort, to control, to the path of least resistance. Your impulses aren't always pure. They're often coping mechanisms, emotional reflexes that once protected you and now prevent you. That's why the real shift happens when you realize wanting is not the highest authority. Choosing is. It's easy to act when you feel aligned, but real transformation begins when you act to align, when you stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" and start asking, "Will this move me toward who I'm becoming?" Freedom isn't found in always getting what you want. It's found in becoming someone who can lead, even when your feelings try to bargain for comfort. You're not meant to. Be a slave to your moods. You're meant to build something steadier than emotion and deeper than impulse. And you build it one choice at a time. The will muscle. 3 levels of internal action. Willpower isn't a force you're born with. It's a muscle you build, through action, through tension, through conscious choice. And like any muscle, it has levels. Level 1. Impulse. This is where most people live. Emotion rises, action follows. No filter, no pause, just reaction. It feels honest, but it's volatile, unstable, easily hijacked. Level 2. Intention. Here you act from thought. You use logic, set goals, plan your behaviour, better than impulse, but still dependent on conditions. When stress hits, this level often collapses. Level 3. Devotion. This is where transformation lives. Devotion doesn't ask, do I want to? It asks, does this matter? It acts from purpose, not preference. It endures resistance because it's rooted in something deeper than comfort. It's rooted in truth. You don't rise by pushing harder. You rise by leading from devotion, because devotion doesn't need to feel good, it just needs to be right. At this level, freedom begins, not because everything is easy, but because you stop negotiating with your lower self. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer internal debates, and you train that by practicing devotion, one sacred, inconvenient action at a time. One metaphor, the door you never want to open. Picture a long hallway, 6 doors. Some are familiar, you've opened them before. Behind them are tasks you've mastered, routines you've repeated, zones you've made safe. But one door makes you pause. You don't know why exactly. It's not locked. It's not marked. But something in your body tightens near it. You glance at it and feel a quiet resistance, not because it's dangerous, but because it's different. That door, that's the one. Because what we avoid most is rarely chaos. It's transformation. It's the part of you that knows something irreversible waits on the other side. Not harm, but change. We tell ourselves we're protecting our peace, but often we're just avoiding the version of us that would force everything else to shift. The job, the relationships, the patterns, the story. The scariest part of growth isn't what it takes from you. It's what it makes impossible to return to. Once you walk through that door, you can't unsee. You can't unknow, you can't shrink back, and that's why it's sacred. Because that one door, the one you resist the most, it doesn't just lead to your next level, it is your next level. And all it's waiting for is for you to finally turn the handle. Freedom isn't found in comfort. It's born in the moments you override what's easy and move toward what's essential. Not because it feels good, but because it builds someone new. You're not free when life bends to your moods. You're free when your values move louder than your excuses, when your truth outpaces your fear, when I don't want to is met with quiet. Sacred action anyway, because every time you step into resistance, not with force but with clarity, you loosen the grip of the version of you that was never meant to lead. So next time your mind whispers, I don't feel like it, ask a better question, or do I just not want to rise right now? You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to feel good. You need to feel called and go anyway. And if this landed somewhere deeper than logic, subscribe, not to follow more content, but to follow the version of you that finally leads. From devotion, not desire. Ms. Time Distorter signing off. See you on the other side of resistance.